People always stared at the wheels first, then the size, then they looked away, like I was some kind of warning sign, a human traffic cone saying, "Slow down, danger ahead. This could be you if you ain't careful." My name is Bernice Carter. I'm 63, way more than most folks' pickup trucks, and I haven't walked on my own in over 15 years. But this ain't a pity party. This is a resurrection story. The kind that starts when you're done begging people to see you. The kind that starts when you finally see yourself. You think you know someone like me just by looking, don't you? I used to think I knew myself too. Turns out, we were both wrong. I wasn't always big. Back in my day, I was what they called a looker. Had men lined up down the block in Savannah, long legs, tiny waist, the kind of figure that made other women whisper. I don't say that to brag. I say it because sometimes I got to remind myself I existed before all this. I met Richard at church. He was handsome in that dangerous way, like he'd been places, seen things. He said I was the most beautiful woman he'd ever laid eyes on. Said he'd make sure I stayed that way. Should have known right then what he meant. First year of marriage was sweet as peach wine. Second year, he started bringing home desserts. "A little something for my sugar," he'd say. By year 3, he was bringing home whole cakes. "Eat up, baby. I like something to hold on to at night." I didn't see what was happening. How each pound was another chain. How each bite was me disappearing a little more. When I hit 200 pounds, the compliments stopped. By 250, the criticism started. By 300, he'd start inviting friends over just so they could make jokes while I served them dinner. "How many trips to the buffet did it take to grow that arse, Bernie?" They'd laugh. Richard loudest of all. And me? I'd smile. Then I'd go to the kitchen and eat until I couldn't feel nothing. My kids. I had 2, Michaela and Richard Jr. They watched and learned. By the time they were teenagers, they were just like their daddy, making jokes, hiding my snacks like it was funny, taking pictures of me sleeping to show their friends. I kept getting bigger, like my body was building armor, like it was trying to protect what little of me was left inside. The day Richard left, I was 389 pounds, could still walk, but not far, not fast. He packed while I was sitting on our porch swing, came out with his bags and stood there looking at me, said, "Jennifer don't eat like a cow. She still fits in a bikini." Jennifer, his secretary, 26 years old. I just sat there, swing creaking under me, didn't cry till his car was out of sight. The next week I got a letter. He'd cancelled my health insurance. Said since I chose to be fat, I could choose to pay my own medical bills. Month after that, I had my first stroke. Found by the mailman 2 days later, laying on the kitchen floor in my own filth. Couldn't feel my left side. Couldn't get up. When I left the hospital, it was in this chair. Doctor said with physical therapy, proper diet and support, I might walk again. I had none of those things. And just like that, I became what you see now, a mountain of a woman, stuck in wheels, invisible to most, a horror story to the rest. The neighborhood wasn't kind, wasn't cruel either, just indifferent. No casseroles, no visitors. My church sent a prayer chain email. Nobody showed up. My kids called sometimes. Christmas cards with no return address. Birthday texts a day late. I had a home health aide come twice a week. Eliza. Bathe me, change my sheets, make sure I wasn't dead. She didn't talk much, but she'd leave her tablet sometimes when she went for smoke breaks. One day, must have been about 7 years ago now, I was sitting there looking at that tablet. Got curious. Figured out how to open the internet. Started searching for diabetic shoes size 13 wide. Do you know how hard it is to find shoes when your feet are swollen balloons? When your ankles have disappeared into your calves? Anyway, I found this website. Some lady in Wisconsin making custom shoes for alternative bodies. That's what she called folks like me. Not fat, not obese, alternative. First time in 20 years, somebody gave me a name that didn't hurt. I ordered those shoes. Cost me half my disability check. When they came, they were beautiful. Purple suede with extra wide Velcro straps. And they fit. Lord, they fit. I cried for an hour straight. Then I got mad. Mad that I'd spent years thinking I didn't deserve shoes that fit. Mad that nobody had told me there were people making things for bodies like mine. So I started searching, found websites, forums, Facebook groups, people like me living full lives, buying clothes, going places, starting businesses. One night I saw this video about Amazon FBA, fulfillment by Amazon. This skinny young man talking about how anybody could sell products online. Anybody. Even me. I stayed up all night watching videos. Amazon, Etsy, eBay, Shopify. Words I'd never heard before. A world I didn't know existed. Used my next disability check to buy a cheap laptop. Had Eliza set it up for me. First thing I sold was a kitchen apron. Made it myself, with fabric from Walmart that Eliza picked up for me. Triple XL, reinforced neck strap, extra long ties that wouldn't get lost under your belly. Added pockets in the front where you could actually reach them if you were sitting down. Called it the seated chef apron. Listed it on Etsy with shaky hands and a blurry photo. Sold it 3 days later for $22.95. I printed that confirmation email. Still have it framed above my bed. One apron became 5. 5 became 20. Started adding other things. Jar openers with extra grip for arthritic hands. Extended reach grabbers that wouldn't break if you were heavy-handed. Lap desks designed to fit over bigger thighs. Called my shop Wide World Wares. My living room became a stockroom. Bedroom became a sewing studio. Had to sell the dining table to make room for shipping supplies. Wasn't like I had dinner guests anyway. 6 months in, I was making more from my shop than from disability. Year later, I hired Eliza's daughter to help pack orders. Year after that, I had 5 part-time employees, all women, all with bodies or disabilities that made regular jobs hard to come by. Richard found out somehow. Called me out of the blue one Sunday. Heard you're making money now, Bernie. Real entrepreneurial spirit. Always knew you had it in you. Like he hadn't spent 20 years telling me I was worthless. Like he hadn't left me to die. I didn't say nothing on that call. Just listened, made some noises, hung up. Then I packed a box. Nice one, with our shop logo and everything. Sent it to his address. I'd looked it up online, easy as pie. Inside was nothing, just air. And a note that said, "Now you know what it feels like to be left with nothing. Petty? Maybe. Satisfying? You bet your sweet life it was." Word got out. Some blogger wrote about us. The wheelchair woman who sold her way out. Article went viral, as the kids say. Got invited to speak at a small business conference. Had to rent a special van to get there. Wheeled myself onto that stage, shaking like a leaf. Started talking about adaptive products, market gaps, profit margins, business stuff. Then halfway through, I stopped. Looked out at all those faces, and I said, I'm not just selling products, I'm selling dignity. The right to exist in the body you have. The right to take up space. The right to not disappear. When I finished, they stood up, clapped so long my cheeks hurt from smiling. That speech, Somebody posted it online. Next thing I know, my inbox is full. Interview requests, collaboration offers, and messages. So many messages. You changed my life. I started my business because of you. I never thought someone who looked like me could succeed. My children reached out too, both of them. Long emails full of apologies and explanations. How their father had poisoned them against me. How they'd been too young, too scared to stand up to him. Did I forgive them? That's between me and God. Did I respond? Yes. Sent them both company t-shirts in their size, told them about the website, said they could follow my journey there like everybody else. Sometimes kindness is enough, sometimes it ain't. These days, I run workshops from my home, teaching other disabled folks how to start online businesses, how to find their market, how to price their worth. Got a proper warehouse now, 16 employees, health insurance for everybody, even the part-timers. Richard's Jennifer left him for a younger model. At least that's what I heard. Circle of life, I suppose. As for me, I'm still in this chair, still big as a house, still got diabetes and high blood pressure and joints that scream when the weather changes. But I'm also CEO of a company that made $1.2 million last year. Got my picture in Entrepreneur magazine, got fan mail, got purpose. They thought I was just weight and wheels. Turns out I was wings too. Bernice leans forward, her eyes bright with fierce joy, her hands resting on the wheels of her chair. So when people stare at the wheels first, then the size, I don't mind anymore, because I know they'll keep looking. And eventually they'll see what I always was, a woman who refused to disappear. Now, I've got one question for you, watching at home. What part of yourself have you been hiding? What wings are you keeping folded because somebody once told you they were too heavy to fly? Subscribe to hear more stories from women like me, women they tried to erase, women who wrote themselves back into existence. And leave a comment below with something you're proud of about yourself that the world tried to make you ashamed of. Because your story ain't over yet, honey. Not by a long shot.